Yeah. They call me James, I reduce them to stutters. All of you lying abusers get hunted. I come with truth and the proof you discover, and I'll give it to you, then you'll get to running like boom shakalaka. You 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 get to running like. I just ask questions and you cook yourself. I could refute you, but you don't need help. I set you up to say truth from your mouth. You get proof when you shout that your fruit is in doubt. If you're truly devout, why you lying so much? I don't hide in the cut, I be firing you up. You thinking you sharp, but I'm lining you up. Bro, you won't scare me, stop trying to be tough. Y'all never focus, redemption seems hopeless. That energy soulless, and everyone knows this. We level these copers, cause heaven has soldiers that never give over to mental controllers. We over your head cause you don't know the spirit. Y'all go to Mecca to hope for forgiveness. How you atone by a stone when you kiss it? Next verse is worse, bro, you don't wanna miss it. They call me James, I reduce them to studies. All of you lying abusers get hunted. I come with truth and the proof you discover, and I give it to you, then you get to run it like boom shakalaka. You get to running 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 like. You wanna cry and then bring out the Arabic. I'ma turn arrogance into embarrassment. I'm having access to all of your scholars, and internet translates the Arabic for us. Dang it, there's more cause there's Christians that's Arab that give us the language like Sil, for example. Nowhere to hide your own lyrics will spank you. Then I'ma hit you from biblical angles. The fact that you think that us Christians are weak is exactly the reason you give us this beef. Attack all you want, but you getting this cheek, and I won't match your energy. God lives in me. River to sea, we gon' free Palestine, because they finna see when we tell them you're lying. Us Christians gon' pull them up out of the fire. When they ask who did it, just tell them the lion. Judah!
God bless you guys. Just again, my main account on Saturday got bananaed after me talking to Logos and showing Logos that Allah was nasty to Adam. Allah took a sinless man, Adam, forced him to sin, made him sin, punished him for sinning, and then kicks him out of the paradise. Kicked him out of paradise for making him sin. This is the God of Islam. Chikoli says, I could drop you if I wanted to. I'm probably not a mod, am I? Hang on a second. Let me see if this dude is a mod. No, he's a mod. Yeah, guys. So again, this is why when we're looking at these topics, it turns out that it's not us that's the problem. It's Muslims and Islam and their interpretations of what Islam or what Allah or what, what they've been given. And we just repeating what they say, and it's not our fault. So let me there we go. Someone block Marcus as well. You guys are awful. Awful people. Hit the like button, guys. Like and share. Again, like and share. My main account on Saturday took a hike because the Muslims didn't like the fact that Logos looked quite silly. Also, in recent days, we found that lots of Muslims are being doxxed. Lots of Muslims are being doxxed because they are hosting people like God Logic. They come to the Christian lives, and because they come to Christian lives, the bullies, the Dawa bullies, don't want them to. So they are actually doxing their own people because they want to bully them into submission, like Allah and Muhammad is bullying people into submission. So I've been entire morning this morning I've been talking to Muslims that have been doxxed, and they are now pushing themselves away from these doxers, these bullies. Not saying they're coming to Christ, but they realize that having conversations with us is more fruitful than talking to other Muslims. So with my backup, another account I've got, I actually went to a Muslim live this morning, and I was listening in, not really, it was just listening in from the outside. And I was listening to these people, and they spoke about the weirdest things. They spoke about Charlie Kirk. They spoke about the UK. They spoke about what's happening. There was a guy that actually saying he walks around picking up litter in Leeds because he's tired of it looking like a third world country. He is from Pakistan. And again, these people don't want to live like they do in Pakistan. And he was shouted at and, attacked for having the British flag. He was called a traitor because, again, he decided that he wants to support the country he's living in. And he was saying, his argument was, I left that other country because of the way it became, and I don't want the country I'm living in now to become like the other country. They called him a loser, a liar. They called him every name in the book because they want to control him. And we know that the only way to control them is through bullying and yada, yada, yada. With that said, with all these guys being, exposed and their names and their details and their addresses, we have to ask ourselves, what is the objective of a Muslim man or the Muslims by exposing this? Now, yesterday, again, I was threatened on a live. The guy said, yes, James, TikTok, and we will find you, TikTok. He keeps saying TikTok because they're using this now as a, they'll find you, matter of time. And then my question is, okay, so if you find me, then what? If you're sending people to homes, then what? Are we going to be like our brother Ashur in Paris, where they come to his home and they do something to him while he's on the live, while he's talking to people, while he's trying to spread more peace than hate, while he's trying to expose the darkness? What is the point of coming to people's homes or trying to expose them or trying to do what you want to do to these people? I don't understand. What happened to the fruitful conversation? Using the tongue as your sword. Because again, the tongue is mightier. You look at what happened now to Charlie Kirk and how many people are celebrating him. Look at all the football stadiums, the concerts, how many people have started buying the Bible and coming back to Christ. Now, I'm in a group outside of this app, and we get a lot of information about people that are coming back to Christ. And all you have to do is go to Charlie Kirk's pages now and start reading how many people decided that enough is enough and they want to come back to church. By unaliving him, they've started this amazing movement. And this is why we are all Charlie Kirks. We need to continue where he stopped. We need to continue showing people that we are able to have these conversations. And by having these conversations, we are able to come to some kind of understanding. We might not agree, but we'll understand where we differ. So when they're trying to dox and expose people because they're afraid of the truth, that is more their weakness. This is the weakness of their religion. Why would they, send, report the lives? Why would they report the lives? Have you seen the leaked videos? I'm not sure which videos you're talking about. I'm not sure which ones. Is this I don't know what you're talking about. No idea. But again, the reason that they report lives is because they don't want us to talk. Now, again, we may get emotional, we may get, loud and rowdy and say silly things and stuff, but it doesn't take away from the topics. So, is that because of the billionaires? Something about the billionaires, Hack? Is that what you're saying? The billionaires that were going against him or something? Well, he was going against some billionaires. I did read something about that about half an hour ago, that he was trying to expose some billionaire people, and I just saw some of it. I didn't read all of it because there's lots of people saying things. It's all just these theories, and they want to take away from what he was doing. The Zionists, no, bro, I don't know. He was supporting Israel, so I don't know. Anyway, I mean, they're blaming the Israelis for 9/11. You know, they'll blame the Israelis for anything and everything. That's the easiest way out. But again, guys, all I'm saying is that when we have these conversations, these types of topics, this is dawah topics. I'm literally saying to Muslims, come up and do dawah by proving that Islam is trustworthy, by proving that Islam is a religion that we can actually go to, come to, and follow, and it's trustworthy. So by me asking these questions, a Muslim should love the fact that I ask these questions, because they should be thinking, whoa, guess what? This is my chance now to prove it true. But be sure we will ask you questions, because of course I've got an agenda. Of course I know what I'm doing. Of course I do this because I want people to see truth. But this is the chance that you guys have to make it make sense. All we're doing is asking the question, and then that causes you guys to stutter and then lie. I mean, the question, I think yesterday, the day before, I was on another live. I said to the guy, if Allah in the Quran says don't lie and Muhammad says lie, who do you listen to? He said both of them equally. So if you listen to both of them equally, that means they are equal. But they don't see it. They're so caught up in this dawah nonsense, this dawah dash nonsense. They don't actually hear what they say. But we do, because we actually ask these questions and listen to the responses. And they panic because we listened to them. They panic because they asked us to read the Bible, the Quran. We read it. They panic because they said, read the Hadith. We read it. They said, read the Tafsir. We read it. And as soon as we repeat it, they're like, no, 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 no. That's what it says, but that's not what it means. So what's next? What's next? Where do we go to after this? We read the Quran. We're trying to find out, is Islam trustworthy? What about Islam is it that I can actually trust? You guys talk about Muhammad. We can't trust him. We've proven that. You guys talk about Jibril. Is he Al-Abiyad? We can't trust that. The Quran, we can't trust that. Then you talk about the previous scriptures. We can't trust that either, because you guys are telling us that your God caused them to get corrupted. What about this religion is trustworthy? And this is your chance to do your dawah dash. Come up, give your dawah, do your dawah, get your good deeds. And again, this is another question in Islam. How many good deeds is enough for you to come into, for you to become saved or get salvation? How many good deeds? I mean, God bless, bro.
Hey, can you hear me?
Loud and clear. You got one bar, so I'm not sure if you're sitting at the bar, drinking at the bar, or just.
I'm going through a dead spot, so you'll probably won't be able to hear me for like maybe the next 10 minutes or so. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I got you now.
Okay. No, I was just saying good morning, bro. What's on the table today?
Again, I was just repeating about this weekend, right? So Saturday and Sunday, I went onto other people's lives, listening to a lot of the lives, joining a couple of them, and this seems to be the biggest problem. They keep telling us that we have corrupted scripture. They tell us we have, yet it's their corrupted scripture. And again, when we were talking to Logos, I asked him the silly question that we had when it came to the last topic we had, which was Adam and Allah. Adam, the sinless guy, did nothing, was caused to sin by Allah. So Allah caused him to sin, punishes him for sinning, kicks him out of paradise because he sinned. How can I trust this God if he can do this to someone that is sinless?
Yeah. Yeah, none of it makes sense. Like, and that's what we've been trying to explain to these guys for the past 1400 years. Like it just doesn't make sense. Like that topic you had on Friday was really good because it just adds another layer. Like sometimes I like to think of Islam as an onion where the outermost layer is just like the most basic stuff, like okay, Tawheed, um, the pillars, reading Quran, reciting Quran. But then once you start to peel, you start to realize like, hey, there's more to this onion, because it makes you cry when you start learning about all the craziness in it, and there's all of these extra layers and all of these problems that's just in the really, it just gets really problematic, man. And that's what we've been trying to tell these guys. So hopefully somebody will be able to come up and answer this layer of problems.
Yeah. So, and again, this weekend, somebody said that because I was asking these questions, they called me weak. They said these are weak questions, weak arguments. If it's so weak, you would be able to do your dawah and then dash. You'd be able to come up with an answer that would make sense and prove to everybody that this is a silly question. Original sin in Islam, why are Muslims paying for the sin of Adam?
Yep.
If you guys don't believe in original sin, why do you guys pay for the sin of Adam?
I mean, that's a valid question. Like, if ancestral sin doesn't exist in Islam, then again, like you said, why are you not in the garden? Like, it just doesn't make any sense. Like, and they try their best to deny it, but obviously, like, we know why they try to deny it. But because like the end result would then be, okay, well, if you do have ancestral sin, if you do have a sin nature, um, like imputed to you, because of the fall. Not it's not that you're being held accountable for what Adam and Eve did. They will answer to God for that on the day of judgment. But because of what they did, they threw the world into chaos, and everyone born after them inherited a sinful nature because of that. So if you're not if it doesn't exist in Islam, then for one, why do you sin? That's for one. And then two, like again, like you said, James, why are you not in the garden?
Yeah, but then, yesterday or the other day when we started this topic, and I asked the question about Adam being a sinless man. I mean, he's created sinless, created in the image of God. But if Allah is able to create something that's sinful or causing him to sin, is Allah sinless? But anyway, my point again is Allah takes a sinless man, causes him to sin, makes him sin. I mean, this dude had no idea that he was going to sin, but Allah made him sin, punished him for making him sin, kicks him out of a garden, throws him down to earth, and then punishes all the children after that by making them sinful and denying them paradise, saying that he'll decide who comes later to paradise. How in the world is this a trustworthy God if he can force people to sin? How do I trust him again? See, there's so many ways to go to this topic. I'm asking the question, how can I trust a God, the God of Islam, if he makes people that are sinless sin?
Well, and then like there's the aspect of where sin is concerned. If you read Athanasius's work, and I did the whole audio book on my channel, so if anybody wants to listen to it, it's a fabulous book. But you have Athanasius writing in his work on the incarnation, and he explains the reason. He starts with your premise, James. He starts with, okay, ancestral sin, and he says that Christ came to redeem mankind because the thing that they miss in Islam, and I'll, because I know I'll go on tangents, but I'll be succinct with this, but it's important. The thing that they miss in Islam with this idea of sin is that if you deny that human beings fundamentally have a sin nature, then you don't affect the root of the problem. So Muslims continually think that, okay, well, I committed sin, I committed zina, or I, cuss somebody out, or I forget, like whatever kind of sin that you have in Islam, and they think, okay, well, I'll just ask God for forgiveness. So then they ask God for forgiveness, and then they believe they're forgiven. But what does that do? Because now, because you haven't dealt with the root of the issue, you're just going to have to continually ask God for forgiveness over and over and over and over and over again. It doesn't deal with the problem. So fundamentally, it's not the sin that's the issue, it's the sin nature. So when you get to heaven, or if you ever get to Jannah, you're still going to have the sin nature. Like what is done to stop the sin nature? And this is why, and see, now I'm starting to get worked up. This is why in Islam, for instance, something like alcohol is haram, or something like fornication or something like that is haram here on earth. But guess what you get in Jannah? You get as much fornication as you want. You get rivers full of wine. You get all of these things that is inherently sinful on earth, but now in heaven, it's not sinful anymore. Make that make sense. The reason why is because it doesn't deal with the sin nature. It just pacifies it so that when you get to Jannah, you can indulge in it as much as you want. But in Christianity, our sin nature is healed by the redemption of Christ on the cross. This is why he took on flesh so that he can destroy the sin nature. And this is why it says that Christ destroyed death. But for them, like, bro, it's still there. There's nothing you can do about it. So, yeah, I'll just mute up.
I have a question for Mr. DJ that walked into the room. God bless you, DJ.
Hey, God bless. Yeah,
What's going on, bro?
that's exactly the point. I mean, and yeah, I like the way you're framing it, James, and it's really good. So, God bless.
God bless. But DJ, I have a question for you. Can you identify a true follower of Jesus, but you have to have them live between 33 AD and 600 AD, and you're not allowed to use any Islamic sources? You have to use pre-Islamic sources.
Oh man, that's
I know that's your favorite question, DJ.
Nobody has found it yet. Yeah, it's been my favorite. Like, it's been my favorite thing to study, I think. And you know, I try to study other things, but as far as that goes, that's been one of my favorite things to study. It's like you would think Allah, you know, according to 6114, he would help these people. You know, Allah, I don't know if you ever seen Kevin Hart where he's like, help me, help me. So you would expect someone to help Allah to spread his message, but no, you like the Trinitarians are the one that spread the message, and like you can't even find any group that has the same message as Islam. Like, no, even heretical groups. So yeah, it's funny.
I want that to be my next topic. It's just to identify a true follower of Jesus, and I'll write between 33 AD and 600 AD outside of Islamic sources.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
James originally, so the topic originally said between 40 AD and 600 AD. So I asked him, I said, why 40 and not 33? He said, well, I'm giving them like a 7-year grace period.
Well,
Man, I started laughing.
Goodness.
You must remember they count differently.
Yeah.
You know.
Is the time feminine? The time must be feminine, so it could. I can't really.
You know, I'm accommodating, man. I'm trying to accommodate.
That's funny, man. Yeah, they that question is really tough because, like you said, DJ, like even when you go with like, because you know they always want to bring the Ebionites, they want to bring up all of these different groups, but then life is really good at this, right? He will, instead of going through the minutia of trying to refute this, because it's just so tiring. Because even if you refute them from the sources, they're still just going to try to deny it. So what he does is he flips the script on them, and because he's so good at this, he's one question type answers situations. What he does is when they try to go to these sources like the Ebionites, or they'll try to pull up Josephus, or they'll try to go to Irenaeus, or whatever source they want to use, he'll use the same criteria that they use against us on them. So he'll say, okay, fine. you want to use against heresies when they talk about the Ebionites. Can you bring me an authentic manuscript from the Ebionites? And they say, what do you mean? I'm using against heresies. I was like, no. That is not an original work. That is a Christian source telling you what this group believed. Do you have an original source from the Ebionites telling you what they believe? I can get it. So then he'll say, okay, when you get it, I want you to show me the chain of authenticity going back to the original writer of the Ebionites. I want you to find the chain of authenticity going back to Marcion or Valentinius or any one of these
Hmm.
Gnostic writers. And they'll say, well, I can't prove that. Oh, but don't you want us to do, don't you have that same level of extreme skepticism when we try to use any of our sources? But
Yep.
you don't have to do it, but we do. Oh, okay. So, bro, like I don't even take them down that road. I just make them prove. I'm extremely skeptical of everything that they prove.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad with what life did last time because the one time I think I crashed out like bad was on that idiot like Ibn Ali on
Yep.
TikTok because he was acting like such an idiot, bringing no sources but criticizing every source I brought.
Yep.
Meanwhile, they can't bring anything to support their cause for like denying the crucifixion because keep in mind when it says they have nothing but conjecture, it's not just like the scholars like disagreeing on what happened with Jesus, but it's also conjecture means saying like an opinion without any evidence.
Yep.
And so that's the exact problem they run into. They can't bring any evidence. And so last time I got to talk to these guys, I said, bring me one group of people that believe Jesus had a physical body, and they denied the crucifixion anywhere between the time of Jesus, 33 AD, and the time of Muhammad. Bring me any group of people, and they can't find it. It's only Docetists who believe Jesus was too much of a god. They think having a body was an evil thing because, they're Gnostics, which in Christ, doing his beautiful, wonderful work, you know, um, taking on actual flesh because God in the beginning said, it is good, and
Yep.
actually dying for us and defeating death. So the only group they can find that denied the crucifixion is the Docetists and their similar beliefs. So I asked them to find me the evidence. They couldn't find the evidence. And yeah, I'm glad with what life did last time.
But so James, so what's the conclusion if they can't find anybody?
Well, then it shows that they will find somebody, because at some point they're going to go to the Bible. They're going to end up saying some parts of the Bible are true. Some parts of the Bible is what the Quran agrees with. Then we have to see, well, where does the Quran agree with the Bible when it talks about any of the followers of Jesus?
Yep.
And
That's what I
then
started.
the Bible true again.
Yeah, DJ was helping me with this topic when you were on your double agent stuff. I would go live every other morning and I would pull up so my topic was, and we should do this one time too, but my topic was Islam is a antichrist religion. And obviously like the Muslims will come up and they'd be like, what are you talking about? And I'd be like, well, if we read Matthew 22, if we read First John chapter 2, verse 22 through 23, if we read First John chapter 4, verse 1 through 4, if we read Matthew 7, like I just list all these verses explaining like the Antichrist and saying, whoever denies the Father does not have the Son, whoever denies the Son does not have the Father, da 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 da, this is like the Antichrist. So then I go through these Bible passages and then they would say, well, I mean, that's good and all, but we don't believe the Bible. So then I say, oh, okay, well, so Muhammad is supposed to be in line with Jesus. So the same message that Jesus and the apostles had about the Antichrist, Muhammad had to have had it. And they'll say, well, of course. So then I just ask them, well, if what Jesus said here is wrong in the Bible, then what did Jesus say? So then they start scrambling. So then the conclusion is, well, if Muhammad is a seal of the prophets, but we can't go anywhere outside of the Quran, outside of the tafsir, outside of the hadith, outside of anything Islamic before Muhammad, then we don't actually know if Muhammad really is in line with the prophets. If we can't verify it, then it stands to reason that all of the prophets that came before, according to history, according to the previous books, are correct. And it proves that Muhammad is an antichrist or a type of antichrist. It proves that Islam is an antichrist religion. And then we just keep going in circles because they cannot understand, like they can't get around it.
Let me just jump in there quickly. So Zara, God bless you, and we are praying for you. I know you're going to the hospital, so people, please keep Zara in your prayers. Isa, thank you for sharing Amin's YouTube channel with YouTube. Yes, guys, for those on TikTok, if you go on Amin's page, you go to his bio, you'll find the link to his YouTube channel, which is Maktaba Online.
Yeah, it just means library.
Yeah. So guys, if you can, please give him a follow and a subscription there. My YouTube channel is The Agents 007. The Agents 007. All this is recorded. You guys can go back, watch it again. Go and listen to the people, listen to the Muslims, listen to how they explain the questions we ask them, and share. Comment and share. Subscribe, comment, share, because we want more people. I mean, the conversation I had with Mufasa the other day, I enjoyed it. You know, Mufasa and I have gone back and forth, and we say, you know, we do, like, you know, get a bit loud every now and then, but it was a great conversation. There's loads of great conversations, and notice that those conversations are the ones Muslims don't want us to have.
Mufasa is interesting because this is just my genuine belief about him. I mean, I could be wrong, I guess, until I'm proven otherwise, but I believe he really does believe the stuff that he says, right? Like I believe that he believes that we're wrong about Islam and that we just don't understand it and that the sources don't say what we think they say. So I believe that he truly believes that Islam is not like this crazy religion. Um, that's why we're able to have like normal conversations sometimes with him until we show him something, and then he turns into Mufasa from the Lion King. He starts lying. But like I think that I think he's a good dude, honestly. It's just that's the case with most Muslims. Like they don't know what their religion teaches, unfortunately.
True. So on a live this morning, I was listening to a Muslim live, and I mean, the Muslims are being doxxed on, you know, because other Muslims are trying to bully them into submission, forcing them to just play ball. And these guys are like, and they're getting doxxed because they're coming to our lives. They're getting doxxed because they're hosting God Logic, The Word and I, Chris Claus. I was banned from his channel, but the point is, they don't even want these people to come and have conversations anymore. And then they bully them. They go on their lives and bully them because they just don't want these conversations. And he said that he's going to go to the police because this needs to be exposed. And rightly so. I said to him, of course you should. And then he said to me, it's funny how certain Muslims talking about me, I actually can have conversations with, and others I can't. So I said, well, it's in the fruit. I have a bad habit of being like a mirror. I give what I get, which is bad because I know that I'm supposed to be better. But I'm learning. I'm learning every single day. I'm trying to be better. But the thing is, the Muslims are afraid of us. This is why they're trying to stop other people. And they're not afraid of me, of Amin and DJ. They're afraid of what we are presenting. Because my question to a Muslim was the other day, maybe yesterday before, how many good deeds do you need to do to guarantee yourself? I said, if you helped 1 million old women cross the street, 1 million, you fed 1 million people, you helped 1 million people. So you've done many millions of things along the way. Have you done enough? And he said, Allahu Alam. So how many is enough?
Yeah, it's completely arbitrary. And again, that's like the ridiculousness of that particular system. Because if everything is predicated on good works and bad works, on paper it sounds good. Like, oh, okay, like, I'll just do a bunch of good works and, like that will please God. But in application, it fails miserably because how do you know? And that's the question, James. How do you know how many good works is good enough? Now, what's interesting is even the contrapositive is true. How many bad works will send me to hell, right? Like, is it just one? And then obviously, like the Muslim will say, no, of course not. That's ridiculous. But is it ridiculous? Because if it's not
No,
one, okay, well, is it two? No, it's not two. That's ridiculous. Is it three? No, that's ridiculous. What about four? And then you get all the way to something like, I don't know, 100. And then they say, okay, yeah, 100 will probably send you to hell, but 99 won't.
no.
So you see how arbitrary it is, and it's insane, bro. Sorry.
So
Sorry, DJ, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that's why, I mean, even the closest companions to Muhammad, um, and this is why I want to do this topic again, James, because you brought some interesting points when you did this topic of the trustworthiness of Allah, or man, I forget what the exact topic was, but can we trust Allah to save us or something like that? And you brought some interesting points on where Jesus seems to be, like even in the Quran, seems to be able to save us, and of course the Bible. But sorry, one second.
no, but I just want to go back to showing you how if Islam is trustworthy. Look at the hadith that I'm showing you on the screen. This is what it says. It says, as for the youth, his parents were people of faith. He was created infidel the day he was created.
What? Say it again. Sorry, I just not realized what you said.
Sunan Abi Dawud 4706. I heard the messenger of Allah explaining the verse, as for the youth, his parents were people of faith. He was created infidel the day he was created.
Is this
Wow.
Khidr?
Sahih hadith.
Well, no, the boy. Is this al
Oh, I don't know.
Khidr?
I don't know. It's hang on a second.
I heard the messenger of Allah say, "May peace be upon him," explaining the verse.
The boy Al-Qadr, yes, that's right.
Explaining the verse.
That's right.
Okay.
The boy he had killed was created an infidel. So he was created an infidel. This is the verse before in Sahih Musa, Sunan Abi Dawud 4705. He was created an infidel. So now again, in Islam, they tell you got free will, free choice. Everyone's born a Muslim. But this boy was created an infidel. Where's his free will into deciding what he wants to be?
That's tough, dude.
So he deserves to get unalived because of what Allah created him to be.
Yeah, that story,
Amazing.
DJ. The way you laugh, bro. That story, from my understanding, is in the Quran. Like I think that's Al Khidr, like the little green or okay, yeah,
It's from the Quran.
yeah. His name means the green one. Yeah, like that story, like because when you read the hadith, I was like, man, like that sounds familiar. Uh, but since it's the same story, you're just giving more context to it. So then, yeah, that becomes the question. Like, so how do you know that you weren't created like that too?
Now that's exactly my point. So this is what I said to the guys yesterday on this conversation. How do you know? How do you know that you are going to paradise? How do you know Allah hasn't already decided while you were in your father's loins or your mother's womb that you are going to go to hellfire? Oh, we don't know. We just have to. And then they said that doing dua can change that. So then it means the prayers are more powerful than Allah's will?
But that doesn't make any sense either. And as we've brought this up several times, when they say, well, your dua will just fix it, right? Like you can just pray. But then the question becomes, well, if our premise is true that Allah preordains everything as the Quran says, so it's not a premise, like this is literally your religion is fatalistic. But if that is true, then how do you know that Allah didn't preordain you to pray? So he preordained you to pray. So it's not even you wanting to pray to change it. He preordained you to do that. So
Exactly.
so there's no way out of this problem. So you think that you're praying out of your own free will to change a situation, but Allah is like, actually, no, I preordained you to pray. And then from me preordaining that, it causes this to happen. So even that's a bigger problem.
No, but I mean, you guys get the point where because I forget if it's Moses or Al Kidder, the one who like unalives the little boy. Um, I think it's Al Kidder who unalives the young boy, but they said he was going to grow up and deceive
Yeah,
many people and like lead his parents into destruction or something
hellfire.
like that. And
Yeah,
so there were that was the justification, but it was Allah who like
did
forced
it.
him to be like that. I mean, my goodness, and it goes right along with that. Adam, forcing us out of paradise because Allah 40 years before that said, "Hey, you're going to cause this to happen." This is
Well,
this is insane.
it's like when you contrast that to the Bible, right? It's like in Islam, Allah is like, well, I'm gonna send you to hell, even though I'm the one making you commit the sin, but I'm gonna punish you for what I made you do, because I guess there seems to be like this idea of like like there can't be any other way. But notice what the Bible says. It says that the goodness of God brings the man to repentance. The scriptures say that while we were yet sinners, Christ died for the ungodly. Like Titus chapter 2 says the goodness of God, or the grace of God teaches us to deny ungodliness, right? So there's so many passages in the Bible where it's just like, okay, instead of me like just sending you to hell, like I'm going to give you an opportunity, and the opportunity that I'm going to give you is to understand how good I am. I'm going to extend grace and goodness to you so that you can realize that, hey, like, leave your sinful and wicked ways and follow me. And this is why Christ says in the Gospels, God causes the sun to shine on the just and the unjust alike. Paul even says in Corinthians that God is not a respecter of persons, right? But in Islam, it's like I don't know if you guys ever watched Superman, but growing up, there was this episode of Superman where it was like everything was bizarre, and they called it like Bizarro Superman, Bizarro Green Lantern, Bizarro Flash, and the Bizarro version of the regular characters was the exact opposite. That's what we get when we look at Islam and the Quran. It's like Bizarro Christianity. It's like the exact opposite of what we read in the Bible. It's insane, honestly.
Guys, are there any Muslims that would like to come up and just prove to us that Islam is trustworthy? Because it seems as though you guys listen to what we're saying. You hear what we say. You know what we say is true. And then you got to try to change it. You got to try to say, well, I know it says that, but, so we want you to come up and try to make it make sense. Because again, we just read that Allah decides. We can't trust Allah. We've seen what he done to Adam. We've seen what he done to Al-Qaeda. We know that he's he does this, and because he wants to, because he likes it. This is the only reason he does it.
Scott used to have this joke. I always laugh at it when I remember it, but he has this running joke where it's like you'll bring a hadith to them, right? Because Scott has like his mind he just has all these hadiths. So you'll bring a hadith, like the most craziest hadith, or you'll like make them think that this isn't in their religion, and you'll show it to them. And he has this joke where he's like, once they realize that it's there, he says they go and they talk amongst themselves. Let's figure out how to make this daif. Like let's figure out how to weaken this hadith because they're using it
Yeah.
against us. And it's true. Like when Life and I, well, when Life did it, because he came up with the idea, but when he started bringing the topic about the 144,000 prophets, and once they realized how detrimental that hadith was, the Muslims started looking up the hadith and trying to see, like, how can we make this daif? And lo and behold, that hadith was actually daif this whole time. It wasn't even 144,000 prophets. It was something like, some say 8,000, some say like 30,000. But the scholars like differ on the actual number. But that hadith, from my understanding, some say that it's sahih, others say that it's daif. But imagine, James, like they were using that for decades, converting people with that hadith this whole time it was daif. Imagine.
And they probably, you know, again, you're allowed to lie in Islam. I mean, and again, this was again a topic I had yesterday on a live. The guy said something and I said, are you allowed to lie? And he lied. I said, dude, you're lying. He says, no, I'm not. I said, dude, you're lying. Are you allowed? No, you're not allowed to lie. I said, okay, what is taqiyya? Oh, no, those are special cases. So you are allowed to lie. Why did you lie about it? Just be honest. He says, oh, you don't understand. There's a, you know, there's some kind of stipulation as to how you lie and if you lie and yada, yada, yada. Yes, you can lie. Just admit that you can lie and we can move on with it.
Yeah. I'm gonna start calling these guys hadith lawyers, hadith attorneys, uh, because they will find any way, bro, any loophole, any way to get out of the problems that Islam brings up, specifically with the hadith. So they're like hadith attorneys. Like they just, I don't know, man. It's sad, honestly. Like if you have to do all of this in your religion, you might need to find a new religion.
Guys, if you guys have any Muslims that you're following any Muslims that you would like to share this live with, please share the live with the Muslims. Let's see if we can get some up. And again, just remind the Muslims that this is an opportunity for dawah. And I promise you, if a Muslim made it make sense, someone will start following Islam. Now, we're not saying that we're going to let them just, you know, say what they're going to say and keep quiet about it. That's not what we're saying, because be sure we'll ask questions. We need to ask questions regarding what they're going to say, because we have learned the art of questioning people. I think I was actually listening to that the other day, listening to someone else speak. And I was thinking, you know, we've learned how to ask questions.
Exactly.
We've learned how to listen and how to ask questions.
There's a technique. I was watching this the other day because I was doing James, you know what I'm talking about. I was doing my second job over the weekend. And so I had some time and I was listening to this I think he was an ex-CIA agent. And he was explaining this technique called I forget the name of it, but it's X something. And basically it's the art of what you said of like asking questions, but you're not asking questions. So you're making statements, right? So his thing was you're asking a statement and the person that you ask the statement interprets it as a question. So one of the examples he gave was like he said like the military used to do this with like the people during the Cold War. Like you get like a little 19-year-old kid, they go to a bar, part of the military, and you'll have like, you know, the enemy will come up to them and they'll be all like, man, like the X-2 submarines like that the Soviets have, man, like they will completely just like blow you guys blow you guys out of the water because they have like, you know, the new Jet 2 turbines or something like that. So the sailor, like the American sailor, is like, no, they don't. Like they have, you know, the Jet 1 turbines. We have the Jet 2 turbines. So we'll just completely blow them out of the water. So he said, like, what ends up happening with people is when you say something wrong, because most people are prideful, they will relish the opportunity to correct you. And he said that is one of the easiest ways to get truthful information out of people, because most people want to set the record straight. This is why like, I can never go into a Muslim live because they're just up there lying constantly 24/7. And I'm always compelled to go up there and try. So just for my sanity, I rarely go in there. But notice we get the same thing with the Muslims. We'll say something and they feel compelled to come up and correct us. But lo and behold, we're actually telling the truth. They don't realize that what they're saying is actually incorrect. So that's one of the easiest ways to solicit information and get conversations out of people is by saying something and making them try to correct you. And that goes into the art that you were explaining, James, of asking questions. Because there's a certain type of way that you have to talk to people, man. And I think we've done a really good job of doing that.
Let me just give a quick shout out to LA Apologetics. God bless you, bro. For those that are not following LA Apologetics, he's also on YouTube. Phil Herrera is also someone that has, I pinned one of his comments with his website where you can go and get loads and loads of information. I will pin another one so you guys can go to his account, because he's done the hard work, guys. He's done the hard work. We just borrow from him. I was going to say steal, but we borrow from him. I borrow from all of you guys, anyone and every single one of you guys. I borrow from you. So I've pinned one of his mentions on the YouTube. So for those that are watching on YouTube, you can go to his account. He's got 700 plus posts and his translation of the Quran on his page. It's Phil Herrera. It's on the screen right now. All the other brothers and sisters and the mods I've got, God bless you. Just thank you so much for all that you do. And I agree with Amin about going to Muslim lives. It's you listen to them lie and then you ask yourself, oh, can I be bothered? Because you're going to get up there and they're just going to smother you with even more lies, and then you're going to be frustrated, and then you're going to say something, yada, yada, yada. So again, guys, if you guys see that people are also putting on videos and stuff and sharing videos and making videos, please share these videos, follow, share, comment on them, because again, the more people are watching it, the more people are awake and aware. Then you've got a guy called Paul Bishop. Paul Bishop, man, this dude, the amount of abuse he gets when he goes onto a Muslim live just because he speaks Arabic. My goodness, man. And the thing is, I it's like listening to Amin. You count, it's a countdown till he tells someone to shut up, man.
Just shut up.
So for those that are not following him, please follow Paul Bishop.
Dude, I think I'm getting fed up with their intellectual dishonesty. Like, that's what's getting under my skin nowadays. Like, I used to have more tolerance, but now I have zero tolerance. As soon as I hear them lying, it's
Golden, how are you?
I'm good. How are you guys doing?
Very well, thank you. Are you a Muslim?
I'm actually an ex-Sunni Muslim as of a couple weeks ago.
Amen.
Oh wow! Congratulations.
I accepted Christ. It was on Word and Eyes live. But I actually
you know
came
what?
on to so
I think I remember you. Yeah.
a lot of people remember me. It was really emotional, but like, to be real, like, it is untrustworthy because, like, honestly, like, you're taught to recite the Quran, but as a child, I don't remember anyone sitting me down and teaching me what anything meant in Arabic, and I don't understand Arabic. So my family is Somali Ethiopian, but Somali is our main thing, and my dad spoke Arabic, my mom spoke Arabic. They understood it and spoke it. I was born in the States, so like the thing is they're like, but you have to learn to recite it. But they never. What I noticed is I never really got sat down and learned what each verse or thing I was reciting even meant. So for me, that was like a dead giveaway that something was up. Like I was like, something ain't right, because I'm like, why are you not sitting me down and telling me what these verses mean? I had to sit down and listen to hadiths, but I don't even know what surahs they were. You know, it was like they would pick and choose what hadiths they would read. I don't know how to explain it, but it was just uneven for me all my life.
I understand. It's so funny story. Like, I started learning Arabic maybe about 4 or 5 years ago, actually. And the
Mhm.
first person that taught me the alphabet, she was a good friend of mine at the time, but now she has since stopped communicating with me for obvious reasons. But
Mhm.
she was half Somali, half Sudanese, I believe.
Yeah.
And I remember like wanting to learn Arabic because I was reading the Quran in English. And I
Mhm.
remember like asking her a question about like horain, like the little like the women you get in Jannah or whatever. And
Yeah.
she was like, well, when it talks about how they have like big breasts and stuff in the Quran and hymens that are never opened, and she was like, it doesn't really mean that. You have to read it in the Arabic. So I
Right.
remember asking her, I was like, okay, well, can you just teach it to me? And she looked at me and she was just like, well, yeah, I mean, I can teach it to you, I guess. I don't think she ever expected me to actually learn it though. So she started
Yeah.
teaching me the Arabic. And I remember like when I finally grasped the alphabet, it took me a couple of months, but when I finally grasped the alphabet and I could understand the different shapes and stuff, and I remember like reading chapter Surah Al-Ikhlas, ayah
Mhm.
1, where it says Qul huwallahu ahad. I remember
Yeah.
reading it and I remember like asking her, I was like, why doesn't it say like, I didn't really know her, but I remember like, I thought Tawheed meant like oneness or something. And she was like, no, Ahad does. And I was like, no, but I thought Wahid comes from like the word Tawheed or something like that. I was like,
Yep.
so if Tawheed means and Wahid means one, I was like, so what does Ahad mean? And she was like, well, it means one, but it's more like you use it when you're coupling it with stuff. So then I
Mhm.
looked up what Tawheed meant, and it meant unification. And I was like, wait, so shouldn't this, so this is an incorrect translation? And she was like, no, you just don't know Arabic fully. And I was like, but you taught me Arabic. Like, so, no, you're absolutely right. They just recite it. They don't actually read it
Yeah.
to know what they're reading.
No, honestly, like I was very confused, even at a very young age. Like, like I was just like, I don't understand this stuff. Like I tried the hardest. I tried the hardest, but I always felt like there was a block in my brain, like that said, it would go in one ear and come out the other, and I was just playing the role at one point, and I was just like, I never told my family, and I had, traumatic stuff happen to me as a child, so I was just like, and that really took me out, but I didn't want to be agnostic the rest of my life, so like the last few weeks, I just been searching and reading because I feel like reading will get you to the truth, and understanding, and that's what made me come to Christ. So I was just like, all right, I'm gonna read. And I asked God, like I literally was in my living room of my studio, and I was like, um, God, just reveal yourself to me. I said Allah or Jesus, right? And it pulled me towards Jesus. And I saw all the signs that I needed to see and got some answers. And that's what really made me make the decision.
You know the power that you have, sis? Do you understand the amount of power you have being a Muslim,
Mhm.
choosing Christ, and how your testimony can help so many people?
I would love to help a lot of people, but people are just so hard headed.
You'll be surprised. And I'll tell you what, again, this is also on YouTube, right? So people actually listen. Amin and I were talking about, if we do a half an hour live stream on YouTube, nobody watches it. If we do an 8-hour there's over 1,000 people watching it. People actually sit at work and watch these lives for the entire length of 4 to 5 to 6 hours, and they pick up on what people like you say. Now, there are people sitting down that are in the chats or outside of the live itself that are in doubt. And your testimony saying, I stood up and I asked him to reveal himself to me. This is what we say to people. We never force people to take any Christian shahada. We say, get to know Christ, ask him to reveal himself to you, and only then can you become a Christian. I can walk into a Muslim live now and say, I want to take the shahada. They wouldn't ask me anything. They would be like, Ashadu. And that's it. You know, you said screaming out your shahada because that's all they're getting. They're getting the brownie points and all these points to bring me to this religion. But we are saying that the reason that we have this close relationship is because we have a religion of love. We're not slaves anymore. We are children. And this is why
And
we
it's,
love
it's very true. I just want to add something to that, James. I was just, strolling through all the lives, and I landed on a Somalian live, right? Mind you, I don't speak it that well. So a lot of them deny that I'm Somalian, but I am Somalian. But I understand more than I can speak it, just like some people understand more Arabic than they can speak it. And I was sitting in the crowd. I was just, sitting there, just listening. And the guy that was hosting said he was sick and he was asking people to pray for him, right? Christian or Muslim, right? And so the Muslim people would get on his thing, and in Somalian, I was seeing people wishing unaliving on him and saying, I wish he would such and such. And it just made me so very sad because I was like, man, I grew up in this like culture, not even the religion, the Somali culture. And I'm like, and they were born into Islam, and pre Somalis, they had like Orthodox churches there, but no one will talk about that, but like the thing is, it just made me really, really sad to sit there and see that so many people wishing negative on this guy that was asking for people to pray for him because he was sick. And that alone right there made me feel like I made the right decision, because I want love from God. I don't want that evil, feeling.
Did you see the recent and I know like you're kind of new to all of this, but do you know who Sneeko is?
I've heard of the name, but I don't know him, no.
Okay, so Sneeko, he was I think he still is. He's like James, he's like an MMA fighter or something, or he's like a professional.
No, I think he's just that you're talking about another guy, Sneeko. He's just, I think, a YouTuber or something.
Okay, well, yeah, like he's like this really famous personality online. And no, I'm thinking of Andrew Tate. I'm sorry. So Sneeko follows Andrew Tate. So when Andrew Tate became a Muslim, from my understanding, Sneeko followed suit, and Sneeko was also very popular as well. He still is. And for the past year or two, since he converted to Islam, he's received a lot of criticism because of his upbringing, like in a Christian society, basically. So, like, for instance, like he would see a lot of stuff the Muslims do, and he would be like, hey guys, like that's not, you shouldn't. And they would say, no, in our religion, this is what we do. We curse the disbelievers. We attack the disbelievers. And most recently with the shooting of CK, because I don't want to get the thing, because you know how the streams are. With that incident, he saw a lot of, because he said, let's pray for CK's family, because even though he's not a Christian, he was like, hey, like at the end of the day, we're Americans and we want to be able to have freedom of speech. Even if we disagree, we shouldn't unalive people for disagreements. Do you know that the Muslims cursed him? They went under his post and everything and started cursing him, wishing death on him, saying all kind of horrible stuff about him because he wanted to pray for an unbeliever. And he went on stream recently and was just like, you guys are insane. And he was very upset, and I think he's going to leave Islam pretty soon because of that.
Let me just 1 second, guys. Just 1 second.
Like you can't even pray for an unbeliever as a Muslim.
Let's just see if that's true, Golden. 1 second. So, halal, can you pray to Allah for me to, for example, get well or and ask Allah to love me? Can you do that, Allah? You muted, Allah.
Can I pray for you to get well?
Can you pray to Allah and say, please, Allah, bless James and love James? Can you say that? As a Christian, I'm a Christian. Can you ask your God to bless me and love me?
I cannot.
Why can't you do that?
Simply because you're a Christian. And Christians, I'm not saying I can wish you well. I can tell you.
I'm asking you about your God.
How I hope you recover well and all that, but I cannot pray. It's different. When
So
it comes
tell
to
me,
praying.
why does your God not love his creation?
What do you mean? Why does your God not love his creation?
Am I a creation of Allah?
You are, but you're not following his religion.
But does he love me?
Are you following his religion though?
Does he love me as his creation?
It's like me telling you right now.
Brother, answer the question. Does your God love me as his creation? Once you come back.
Why is it such a hard question, bro? Like I don't get it.
I'll show you the logic in this. All of you guys pay attention to this. This is now going to show you the logic of Islam, and it goes into the topic again. How can you trust someone who wishes bad on you?
I mean, like, think about it like this. And unfortunately, this is the reality of the situation. If there was a Muslim, dying in a hospital because of whatever, most Christians would pray for him. Like, there's a Muslim right now, Ijaz. He's very sick. The other Muslim, Jake, the meta physician or whatever, he's sick. I know tons of Christians that pray for him. Like, hey, like we don't want you to die. And notice this. One of the reasons why we don't is because we want them to come to the realization that Christ is Lord. So we want to make sure you have as much time here to come to that realization, but we don't hate you. We're not saying curse the disbelievers and send them to Jahannam. Like, bro, like what logic does that, like what logic is that? How is that going to make the world a better place?
So just notice what he said. Notice what he said, guys. Allah does not love me because I don't follow his religion. Make that make sense. This God will only love you if you love him first and follow him. But this is why you couldn't pray for. So when you saw Golden on the live you were on, this is the type of Muslim mentality. You can't pray for someone that is not in the same religion, but Christians can, because again, we are told, according to the Bible, to love your enemies, bless those who curse you.
Maybe James, sorry. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Did you guys hear this clip? Somebody clipped a bunch of people on a live where she's a nurse or emergency responder. Have you guys heard this?
The Australian, where she'll analyze.
With the Australian people?
I don't know if they're Australian, but they were telling her not to help a dying patient or like a.
Oh no, that's a different video then.
Like, so basically, if an ambulance or the.
She works on the TikTok live. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead, James. You probably better.
Tell the story. Yeah, I don't think I've heard this one.
I don't have it, but I did watch it because on a TikTok live, they were talking, just sitting and chilling. And she said, "Oh, I'm a nurse." And they were like, "Well, do you help the non-Muslims?" And she goes, "Yeah." And they were like, "What is wrong with you? You're not allowed to help them. You must let them pass away. Let them drop down. You're not allowed to." He says, even help them pass away. Don't, you should administer, don't give them medication, don't do any of that because they're not Muslim. Now, Allah actually said that a Muslim who grapes a little child is better than a Christian that has never done anything wrong.
Imagine this, though. An emergency responder that you actually, call 911 for this emergency responders to actually save the life of your loved ones. And she knows that somehow you're not a Muslim because the way you looked, or you looked white, or you had a cross around your neck, and then all of a sudden she just lets you die on the way to the hospital. Like, dude, this is treason. This is the treason at its core.
Can you imagine?
Dude, yeah, like I can't imagine.
Can
She
well,
should be analyzed. She should get the death
Yeah,
penalty.
sorry,
that's
Golden,
sad.
go ahead.
I was just saying that's really sad. That's what we come from. Like I remember as a child being told I couldn't have kafar friends. Like don't trust them. You know, they gonna make you an unbeliever. But I loved all my friends regardless. I always felt like the black sheep because like I always felt a little different like growing up. I was just like even though I grew up into the Sunni, religion and the culture of Somali, like I always in my head was like why is it so different? Like why do we have to treat people different? Like I always ask myself that and I'm learning now 40 something years into my life like this is crazy. Like I've been brainwashed. Like that's crazy.
But see, the issue with that particular lady is completely different. It's like recruiting someone that plays with life and death, and they're playing with death and making death possible.
Well,
And
these
psychopath.
these yeah, these people, according to our scriptures, it says the Lord will have his vengeance. The scriptures in Hebrews and in the Old Testament says, vengeance is mine, saith the Lord. So we're not saying that we're pacifist. Like, so for us, like when we pray for our leaders in government, we pray that they have strong discernment and wisdom in dealing with situations like this. If you know that a particular person or a particular ideology is cancerous to a society, you're not going to let that cancer into your society. So, I mean, we're asking that they just are a little bit more wise. And this is the problem that we're having in our society, specifically in places like Europe. And as you've seen, the same thing that happened in Iran when the people put their leader in, I think it was who was it again, Paul? Ayatollah. I always forget the dude's name. Um,
Ayatollah
um,
Khomeini.
yeah. When they put him in, they forced the other guy out because they said he was too quote unquote Western. They forced that guy out. They put their guy in. He implemented Sharia. Now 40, 50, 60 years later, they're sick of it. So much so that they started rebelling against the government. Hundreds of people died. Women refused to put on hijab. All of this stuff because they realized that they invited cancer into their society. Now, look what's happening in the UK. Look what's happening in Europe. All of these countries now are finally starting to realize that when you let people in with a different ideology, a vastly different ideology, it's going to create havoc in your society, and they're tired of it. We're not talking about, okay, like letting in people who are Hispanic or French or German, or like, we're not talking about that because when they come over to our country, they're not like, hey, let's unalive all of the people that don't believe in our God. Let's try to take over their society and make it like the place that we ran from. They're not doing that. They're literally just coming here because they're like, hey, we need to make a better living for ourselves. They could care less about trying to unalive people who disagree with them. But unfortunately, the ideology of Islam, that's what they teach. Imagine you leave a society because it is so detrimental to your livelihood. You come to another society that is going to do better by you, and you try everything you can to make that society like the one you left from. It makes no sense. So I'm not saying don't let anybody into your countries. I'm saying have more wisdom and discernment on who you let in, because not everybody is like that, unfortunately. But it's just sad, man.
That's facts. It's really sad. Like, and also I feel like women are very unequal to men in Islam because, like, I asked my mom, I was like, well, why do we have to do certain things? And she's like, to make yourself pleasant for a man. For instance, FGM, right? That's a big deal when I was growing up because I was like, you had what done to you? I'm asking my mom this, and I'm like, for what? And she's like, to make yourself more pleasurable, like, for it basically was built around men. And I was just like, that doesn't sound right. As a
Well, the
kid, I'm
hadith
like,
actually says that it must be desirable to the man and not too
yeah.
severe for the woman.
But I don't
But
understand
yeah,
how
I
that
don't
makes
get
it.
that. I
Yeah,
don't
how
get
does that
that.
make it more desirable for us?
To look
That's
at
what I'm saying.
something
I don't get that. I do not understand that, and I never understood that, James and Amin and Paul. Like, the thing is, it's like I struggle with this as a kid, and like I'm so glad I was born in the States. But like my mom at one point threatened to take me over there because I was talking to a guy, a boy, but I wasn't like dating him or anything. It was just I had a guy that was a friend, you know. And she was like, I'm gonna take you to the country, get you cut or whatever. And I was just like,
What?
what? Like, I was like, what? Like, heck no, I would have called the popo. I would call the popo. Like, I was so like, what? Like, why do you even do that? And then I found out it's more cultural. And in the Quran, it actually says for women, it's an honor. It's not actually an obligation for women. It's an obligation for men.
Well, no, it does. Well, again, if you go to the hadiths again, we've made the mistake in believing, because I'm from Africa, we make the mistake in believing that it's a cultural thing. No, it's an Islamic thing. This exists in Islam, always did. It's in the hadiths 1400 years ago. Muhammad incorporated it into Islam, and this is why it says that even Aisha was circumcised and Muhammad was circumcised. And when both the circumcised parts met, they had to do ghusl. Not only that, Aisha, she was present at her brother's house when his daughters were being circumcised. And what did she do? She got entertainment to keep them occupied while they were being cut, mutilated.
But again, like, and I actually am, because now I'm interested in this. Not, I'm like, it sounds weird me saying that, but I'm interested in the aspect of like how is it that it's supposed to be more pleasurable for the man? Like what reasons did they give you? I'm actually curious. Like, what reasons did they give you for that?
My mom always said, like, is to keep the feeling away, like, like to keep you from lusting towards other men, like it's to keep you from lusting before marriage and stuff like that. But I'm like, but there's these women that had these problems, health problems, after they had it done, and I'm like, well, are you not seeing what it's causing towards women? So now a lot of places are going against it finally, but that's because people are advocating for not having it done to women anymore, you know what I mean? But yeah, it's insane. It's insane.
God, man.
Well, there's two ways of looking at it, and we're going to get into details now, because again, there's two ways. One is you cut the clit so she doesn't get pleasure, and that is not desirable for her. And the other one is to sew the hole closed or closed.
Oh my God, bro!
Not even joking.
Explicit, man.
I have some popo problem. Had some popo problems when I knocked a Somali guy out because he was busy telling me how his wife came home and she went to the doctor, and she came and told the husband that the doctor, he recommended that they open up the opening slightly because it'll stop her from bleeding and having all the pain. And then he was proudly telling me how he 434'd her. Now, when he 434'd her and he told me this, now I've got 3 problems with him. So I had to give him the combo, the three combo. And then, of course, I got taken because I gave him the 3 combo, like he gave his wife the 3 combo, because he didn't want the opening to be wider because he wanted to feel like a man. Now, again, this is why this religion can't be trusted as untrustworthy religion, as an untrustworthy God, because he gave us an untrustworthy prophet. So
Yeah,
everything comes back to the topic.
Wait,
Let me
Paul.
give you guys PTSD. There's just like I had